The conflicts of interest attended to Donald Trump's cabinet picks, I just think cannot be ignored. They need to be taken incredibly seriously. I mean, conflicts of interest used to be a thing that was taken very seriously. I recall how, let's say, the New York Times treated Obama's nominees back in 2008. Compare that to how corporate media is treating Trump today. You remember this article when Tom Daschle was going to be appointed as the Secretary of Health and Human Services? This was like a big expose by the New York Times. Mr. Daschle, he failed to pay $128,000 in taxes, primarily for personal use of a car and driver provided to him by a private equity firm for which he consulted. Do you think this would even be a story today when Donald Trump's out there selling perfume and cologne, and he's got Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk and RFK Jr. and I could go on and on and on with this cabinet, but I want to bring on Congressmember Ro Khanna. Congressmember Ro Khanna, welcome to the show. I gotta ask you about these conflicts of interest, and you specifically came out with a very strong statement earlier. First, you said, look, I'm open to being a part of this DOJ committee if it means that real credible work is going to be done. But the reporting is out there that you're saying that, look, first, Elon Musk needs to release his finances to avoid conflicts of interest. I don't know if you said first or if they're inextricably intertwined, one or the other, but talk to us about that, because as we've seen Elon Musk yesterday palling around with Viktor Orban at a time that Russia looks fairly weak abroad, people have real issues with Musk. I appreciate you coming out and calling out these conflicts of interest, but I want to hear from you on that.
Well, to me, it's pretty obvious and common sense. As a member of Congress, I have to painfully disclose every one of my assets, disclose every month if there's any activity with me or even my wife's assets or wife's assets, which were prior to marriage. And I guess I don't understand why the same rules wouldn't apply to anyone in the federal government. They should apply to both Elon and Vivek. I mean, they're being appointed to a very serious position. They should have financial disclosure, and that is transparency, so people know that their decision making is fair.
Congressman, the audience may hear my dogs barking in the background. That's part of the show sometimes, as you hear some dogs barking. Let me ask you this, though. Being appointed to powerful positions, I guess my question there, though, is I understand there's a committee, a special committee in the House of Representatives that will be a DOJ subcommittee, the same way that Republicans created subcommittees and Democrats create subcommittees as well. But this idea of a DOJ department itself, in order for a department to exist and appoint people to department positions, doesn't there have to be like legislation passed and a process, or can anybody, could Biden just say, look, I'm creating the this department or that department? I get the subcommittee part, but what is it that Musk and Vivek are? Like, what is their actual role? Do you know?
My understanding is it's like a commission, and presidents can create commissions all the time. I mean, the commission or a czar to make recommendations, but ultimately that's what they can do. They can make recommendations, and ultimately it goes to Congress. And Congress, it's not some special DOJ subcommittee, though there is one of those in oversight. It'll go to the regular committees of jurisdiction. So what I've said is, on defense, I do think we should be looking at excessive defense contracting. And if Elon Musk is out there saying that we can cut the defense budget and have stronger national defense, Democrats shouldn't run away from that, because for so many years they've been painting us as weak on defense because we've been saying you can save taxpayer dollars. Now, if you've got Musk saying the same thing, basically, let's see if Republicans actually take him up on that or reject it. But it's a commission. It makes recommendations, and Congress will get to act on them. But even for a powerful commission role, I think you need to have financial transparency.
I think where people are concerned is that does this assume that Elon Musk is going to be a good faith actor when he's demonstrated quite frequently, while certainly his businesses are etched into, America now? I mean, you can't deny Tesla's a big business. SpaceX is doing, incredible work. We see the rocket ships, but I think what people are concerned about is he going to be self-interested in just building up his companies? And when you see some of the first things that Vivek Ramaswamy is talking about dealing with are things like the Rivian loan from the Department of Energy, which was similar or the same loan that Elon Musk got. I understand there could be criticisms of, should Elon Musk's company be exempted from kind of California's energy policy? That's a whole other discussion. But what do you say to people, though, who go, Congress member, you're going to be part of Doge, and if you're part of Doge, aren't you just normalizing someone who's demonstrated they're a bad faith actor? What's your response? And I'm sure you've heard that argument.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'm not part of Doge. I guess I think it's a misunderstanding of what this is. What this is the president's appointed, or Trump is going to appoint Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to this commission of making recommendations. Now, I'm on the Armed Services Committee and I'm on the Oversight Committee. I'm not joining some Doge caucus or any particular Doge committee. All I have said is, in my role on the Armed Services Committee and Oversight Committee, if Doge makes recommendations that I agree with, I'm open to those. And those recommendations specifically, I said, is with the cost overruns, with 5 primes in defense. I'm often the lone vote. There's 67 people on that committee. I'm one person who votes no against this bloated Pentagon budget. And I get booed sometimes by Democrats and Republicans alike. And so if Musk can come in and say, there's a monopoly that Boeing and Lockheed are ripping off the American public like they were before SpaceX came in, and we've got to open this up like the Truman Commission did, great. But do I think that there should be financial transparency? Absolutely. Do I think that Vivek should have been talking about a Rivian loan? No. I mean, I think there's got to be clear areas where people have to be sensitive also to a conflict of interest. But I will say this thing about the Democrats, because maybe I'll be a little bit provocative. In this country, we love people who build things. We like people who send up rockets to space more than we like politicians. And the reality is that if we don't appreciate we can strongly disagree where Elon says bad, dumb things, and I have, both publicly and privately. But we have to, as a party, be the party that's open to building things and understanding and celebrating that, or we're going to lose out to voters, because even working class, ordinary voters, they like people who build stuff. I mean, at least that's the America I grew up in Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
Well, and it's also part of the America you represent in Silicon Valley, and you've seen some of the great American businesses thrive and be built. The way I described it to people yesterday, who we held a Zoom chat on our Patreon, and I was discussing with people, and I said, look, Congressmember Moskowitz, Congressmember Khanna, you know that they're fighters. You've seen them at the hearings. You've seen them on hearings where Republicans have the majority. You see them cross-examining the witnesses. Would you rather have them there holding Republicans accountable and holding feet to the fire? Here's what you say you're going to do it. And if they don't do it, you're going to be out there very publicly saying, you're lying to the American people, you're screwing us. Or I said, would you rather give that seat to a MAGA Republican who can go out on Fox and lie about what's taking place? And when I said, for a show of hands, who would prefer Congressmember Khanna and Moskowitz when I explained it that way, everybody's hands stayed up. And I think that's the context. What you're saying is, and you're already holding them accountable in the sense that you're saying, look, financial records need to be released to ensure that you're not making recommendations that are benefiting yourself. But Congressman, what happens though if Elon Musk or whoever says, Congressmember Khanna, that's great, I appreciate that request, I'm going to politely decline it, and I'm not going. How do you use your pulpit, and how do you use your power, not in the majority though, to bring attention?
Well, we got to keep being vocal and public about it, and keep pushing him on it in hearings, and raising those issues and calling it out. Where in the Rivian loan case, I mean, I don't think Vivek should have commented on that, or Doge should be commenting on things where there's even a perception of a conflict of interest. But the bigger area is, I have said, I went on Sunday this week and I said, I will fight with every fiber of my being if there's a single dollar cut to Social Security, Medicare, or the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And I guess I believe I have more credibility when I fight that if Musk or Doge recommends any cuts on those, and they haven't said they are, but if they do, they have said with CFPB, and if that happens, I have more credibility to fight that if I can say, where they were talking about sensible possible reforms, like populating people's taxes so that you don't have to go to H&R Block, I haven't had an open mind. And I guess this is a philosophic debate in the Democratic Party. Do we just have a blanket opposition? I understand why some people may want to say, in a Trump administration where Trump is threatening to put Jamie Raskin in jail, and where it's surrounding with billionaires, where the total net worth is, nearly $50 billion of all these people, not even including Musk, that we just need opposition. My view is that what we should be doing is looking at policies and where there is things that can move the American people forward, ideas, we should say we will work there, and where they go overbroad and overreach, which they will, we strongly oppose. I think that's the way back to the majority.
Congressman, do you get the feeling that these cabinet picks by Donald Trump, though a lot of them are, he's picking people who literally are going to try to destroy the agencies that they're being picked for? I mean, the contrast to me is, if you take a look, and we may agree, we may disagree on this one, but like take any one of them, but like the IRS commissioner, former Congress member Billy Long, who Donald Trump wants to be the IRS commissioner. Trump's going to have to fire the existing IRS commissioner, who's a fairly bipartisan guy. Coincidentally went to my high school, not when I was there, which was a fun fact that I found out. But a guy who I thought has brought some efficiency to the IRS, who's developed systems, online filing systems, equipping it for the modern day, versus who Trump wants to pick as a guy who went on the House floor, and when he would do his like auctioneer voice, $1, $2, $3, $5, $5, but he would be saying that this is why we need to abolish the IRS, put in a regressive tax that would seem to not benefit most Americans. I don't know about that, but you look at it, all of it. Do you have that sense? Do you agree with me on how do you assess Trump's cabinet? And are there even areas that you think people should be focusing more attention on that they aren't already than the high profile ones?
Well, they're not people I would appoint. Obviously, I was out there I can't even count how many swing states for Kamala Harris for precisely this reason. Trump's theory, though, he didn't hide the ball during the election. He said he says that he's going to provide massive tax cuts and cut regulations. And I think that's what he intends to do. And he's gotten people from the private sector, very wealthy people, to help him do that. The problem is that the working class folks, the middle class folks who aren't getting enough wages, who don't have health care, who are complaining because their insurance is being denied, they aren't going to be helped. And I think what we need to do is just make the factual argument to folks that, look, you gave him a shot. You gave him a shot because you thought your politicians had sold your jobs to Mexico or China, because industries were destroyed. He had promised to bring back these new factories, promised to have your wages go up. And he got in there, he had a bunch of billionaires, they cut all the regulations, and they provided tax cuts. And where are the new factories? Where are your wages? Have they really gone up? Or do you want to do what Democrats do, which is believe that we're going to help provide federal investment in getting these new factories, as President Biden did, that we're going to fight for a new higher minimum wage, that we're going to have workers get stocks? I think our policies actually are right. I think our communication was lousy, and we can get into why. But a lot of our policies are right, but the policies will be better heard if we're factual about it. And here is one of the places, I don't always ideologically agree with Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, but the reason they were two-term presidents and two of the greatest talents in our party is that they respected the American people enough to believe in persuasion. You know what? They actually thought, when you hear Bill Clinton talk to folks who are blue collar, he treats them that they're really, really smart, and that we don't need to condescend to them, and we don't need to sensationalize, and they're capable of understanding argument. And I believe that. I believe the American people are really smart, and that we should be willing to engage in persuasion and facts.
You see, and this is why I love talking to you, even in these kind of grim times. Obviously, this was not the outcome anybody wanted. There is this, I hate referring to it this way, but at a loss of words, the F around and kind of find out. I don't want people, I don't like the term because they're my fellow Americans. I don't want them to find out. Even if they voted against their interest, I want them to still do well. But with people Googling now, wait a minute, is my healthcare really going to be taken away? Wait a minute, Donald Trump just spoke on Meet the Press, and he's still saying you're still doing the concepts of a plan thing. You haven't even thought about what that actually looks like while you want to take away my healthcare. Googling tariffs. So you're telling me actually now that all of these products are going to go way up, and what egg prices? Wait a minute. Now the H5N1 strand, it's a real thing. Whoa. Wait a minute. RFK Jr. wants to appoint the raw milk guy who in California, they banned some of the milk because of avian. Whoa, there's some real issues. They were having this moment. You think that there's an opportunity here in these times to communicate to the people. I'll give you the final word and kind of how you're going to use your position to do that, and how you think how we improve and what's on the horizon.
Well, absolutely. There's an opportunity to communicate factually about where Trump is going to overreach and do things that aren't going to help the people he said he would help. But I think the Democrats need to keep in mind a North Star of why we lost and what we need to do to turn this around. And that to me was a story that Chancey told on a New York Times daily podcast. Chancey is a 43-year-old African-American in Milwaukee. He was working in Master Lock. In 2012, President Obama comes there and says manufacturing is coming back. And Chancey talks about how he shook President Obama's hand. He was very proud, $30 job, helping pay child support responsibly, doing everything right. 2022, this plant shuts down. The jobs go to Mexico. Chancey is unemployed. I just talked to him a few days ago. He's now making 18 or 20 bucks driving a car to deliver prescription pills, can't find a manufacturing job. Chancey doesn't vote in the 2024 election. And I guess my point is the Democratic Party needs to understand, and many do, but needs to speak loudly saying, we understand people like Chancey have gotten a raw deal in this country for 40 to 50 years, that jobs were sold out by politicians for cheap wages, sold away to different countries, that people don't have health care, they don't have the right wages. Yes, Joe Biden got in there to try to fix things, but he was doing it for a few years, trying to overturn 50 terrible policy. And we see you, we hear you, we're going to fight for you. Okay, we understand you. Some of you gave Trump a try because you were so frustrated. Let's see what he delivers. I'm convinced we have a better vision and a better way to deliver for you. And we win them by giving our solutions and our ideas. And, you know, I guess I'm old school. I still believe in persuasion. I still believe you can reach people. I still believe in the thoughtfulness and intelligence of the American public, that I don't think that people are just all swayed by sentiment. You know, that's actually insulting to the American people. We are a great democracy still. I fundamentally believe it. We are a great people. And I think that the problem isn't with the people. The problem is with the product, with the politicians. We got to be better at our persuasion.
It's such a great point. And what you said there is a message we say all the time, though. You have to treat Americans as intelligent as they are. And I believe, to your point, Americans are intelligent people, but you also have to let them know that you feel for them, right? I mean, President Clinton was great. Like, I haven't heard Democrats looking people in the eye, to your point, and saying, I hear you. Like, I feel for you. I know what you're going through. I'm going to fight for you. We're in this together. And sometimes Democrats maybe over-intellectualize that and go, oh, they know that. My policies are, you just gotta shake the hands and look them in the eye, right?
Exactly. And imagine how someone like Chansey feels when you get all these talking heads. Oh, we lost because there's an information ecosystem bubble. We're basically saying like Chansey got all this manipulation into not voting. What about just saying like, we see why you're upset. We see why you're pissed. We see why you are frustrated. I'd be frustrated too if suddenly they said I don't have a job in Congress and I don't know what to do and it was out of my control, right? And you're taking away his livelihood, his dignity. And we just have to say, we see you, we're going to fight for you, and here's what we're going to do. Yeah, I'm not saying that there isn't an information bubble and distortion and misinformation, but leadership is overcoming those obstacles. We are the most educated as a country we've ever been. Our struggles aren't what John Lewis faced in being beaten up on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. We got to buck up, realize that we've got to do better. We need better communicators, better persuaders, better ability to get out there and have faith in the American people and not sort of blame everything but our own ability to connect.
Congressmember Ro Khanna, thank you for joining us. I'd love to have you back more frequently as a guest over the coming months, get your perspective about what's going on in the DOJ committee, hear from you about the plans and policies. And I think you really hit on it right there. So we'd love to have you back. Thank you so much.
I appreciate your voice.
Everybody hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million subscribers by the end of this month. Thanks for watching.
Real quick, Meta just changed their algorithm to suppress political content. Please follow our Instagram @MidasTouch right now as we head towards 400,000 followers so you don't miss a beat.